Welcome everybody, Josh the RV Nerd with Bish's RV down here at Cherokee's What's in Store for 24 sneak preview display, and I found a model that, like, I look at pieces and parts of it, like, it's a little bit like this, it's a little bit like that, but I've never seen a camper with this combination of stuff all kind of crammed into it. It's the new 26 LK, and I kind of like this thing. So first of all, like, when I first looked at the floor, I'm like, oh boy, here we go again. It's another one of these 26 rear baths with no campside windows. And then I actually saw it in person, and that ain't the case. When you're sitting in the sofa, all you're doing is looking out windows over on the campsite of the RV, and not to mention that gigantic picture window up in the bedroom. And if you're looking at this, it's almost like the Cherokee-ish version of something like the Salem Wildwood Versa Lounge. And frankly, I'm here for it. I love variety of seating solutions like that. And what's kind of cool, this is one of the very first times I've ever seen Cherokee include some level of recliner right in the slide. If you choose to add a TV to this thing, you're sitting on Boardwalk and Park Place. It's pretty darn cool. Now in the bathroom, of course, you've got the big full-size Fajita Friday Fume Fight and Fart fan instead of the little 4-inch dollar store variety. And one of the other interesting tweaks for the 24 season on these is they've gone away from a traditional microwave and oven. What you now have is a microwave air fryer combo built in. And I kind of like that. Now, if you're not park camping, if you don't have power hookup, like you still have the cooktop for propane cooking, but you don't have a traditional oven, but you can still cook some cookies and biscuits in there, provided you got power. Tank heaters have also become a standard thing this year, and a bunch of other really cool things. It's easy to miss what they've actually done this year because it just feels so natural and so right. I'm excited to see what you think about it. It's not without its hitches and its giddy up. And I'm going to show you the good with the bad as we go. And if you appreciate that, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let's get in there. And you know, I didn't really know where to start this one because there's a bunch of different areas in this I think kind of qualify as the focal point of the RV. So I thought I'd actually start over here at the kick-out sofa, basically, where you can kick your feet up. Put you right in the driver's seat, right from the start, because I think this is one of the things this RV does very well that a lot of them don't. Now, using that entry door as a reference point, most of these, quote, 26 rear bath models, this entire wall over here has exactly no windows, or maybe a tiny one for a kitchen that you can't really see. They rearranged things here, and I kind of like it because especially when you're sitting down, you've got some really nice window coverage. Now, part of that kitchen window you may have noticed is currently blocked by the camp kitchen. If that is in use, that is something that you'll kind of lose. And they are not including a factory television, but obviously you see where you can mount one up there. And since this RV is not extra super duper tall inside, that is not so much of an extra tall neck wrecker entertainment. And the fact that they left it kind of open and bare really sort of lets you choose what you want to do. Now, over here, they did cut the countertop back to make the whole thing look and feel a bit bigger because this does have a step-up slide that does punch into the RV a little bit, so they needed a little extra kind of breathing space. But they gave them a perfect place for that little electric space heating Tootsie Toaster. And over here, something you might have noticed, they've expanded the overhead cabinet space, but they got the microwave out of there. What you have down below that propane cooktop is actually a convection air fryer microwave wombo combo. And a lot of brands are starting to kind of go to that. And I'm going to ask you a bunch of things like, what is your opinion? Because there's a lot of, they're like trying new stuff in this video. But one of those, what is your opinion of this like wire mesh kind of cabinet door insert that they put here? I think I know the answer, but I don't want to like say it and like kind of poison the waters and pre-shape how things might go down. I'd like you to kind of leave me a comment. What do you think about that? I also really like, you're going to see in the kitchen how they are starting to include a dedicated little wastebasket space. That is good, smart content. And if I flick my head on this stupid thing one more time, pow, right in the kisser. Anyway, over here, this is, I think, very interesting. They may or may not include this, so we kind of need some feedback from you. Do you like this or not? Normally, this would have a jackknife sofa and a U-dinette, and frankly, it still does. But instead of putting a hard wedge divider between the jackknife sofa and the U-dinette, they included this little removable kind of armrest. And, you know, when I was sitting there offloading my camera off my laptop, I gotta tell you, I kind of liked having how big and open that was, to me, it made the whole RV look and feel a little bit bigger, which I don't know. I thought it was actually kind of cool. Now, you do have the Smurf bed tanning light up there, which thankfully we can turn that off if we need to. And they have done some things, if you notice, like their window treatments here, these big giant breeze windows. That's another cool thing with this floor plan. Wherever, like, there's another window directly across from this thing to give you some good airflow. But like, I don't know how I want to say this. I'll just let you look at it. Tell me if you like it or not. I don't know. I personally kind of like what they're doing here. Now, you may also notice how they got rid of the carpet in the slides of these Grey Wolves. It is a step-up slide because this is actually a lower profile camper. It doesn't sit so high in the air. So they do have to put that slide a little bit above the wheel wells. That's one of the things that they do have to kind of consider here. But watch this little armrest. Alakazam, move, slide, get out the way. And you've got a pair of like almost recliner style sofa kick-out incliners that Cherokees have not had. Now, it is still a jackknife sofa. There is some storage below that. But without a hard wedge divider, when you fold this down into a sleeper, it now becomes, I don't know how, like 12 foot, 14 foot, however long this slide is. It becomes a full super slide, super sleeper. And I don't know. I kind of like that. That's just one of those things that I personally like. But again, what is your opinion? It's really the same seating they've always had. They just got rid of the back of the bench next to where the sofa is. And I don't know, personally, that just kind of works for me. That's my 2 cents, though. Pretty respectable countertop space in this one as well, which is another nice little feature. And you see, it's shallow, but it does have a nice wide dedicated pantry right by the door. Shallow pantry doesn't really offend me. Maybe you can't put the biggest things in there, but plenty of boxes of mac and cheese or whatever can go in that thing. Your Kraft macaroni dinner. Whatever works for you. Now, they are still doing the standard 15,000 BTU air on these as well, so you don't have to worry about like an AC upgrade, because it is a pretty, decent sized camper that if you're in hot climates, might be a little bit of a trick to kind of keep you cooled. This thing, though, Cherokee's never, in my time of calling these things, had a rear bath quite like this one. I think overall they did a good job. About the only thing I think I would personally want to add is some kind of towel bar on that wall. Well, one of the things that they're still doing very, very well up here is that big, full-size Fajita Friday Fume Fight and Fart fan right there. But remember, Grey Wolves are 6.5 foot tall. So if you're a little over 6 foot tall like me, these things, for plumbing code, you do have to step up a little bit, to clear the plumbing to get into that shower pan. So your head does have to be in the bubble if you're a little bit more my size. Pardon the little wash rag that you're seeing on the floor. I was kind of using that to keep the bathroom door open, but obviously it failed. Where they didn't fail, though, elbow room around the toilet, brother. I don't know why I turned into like borderline Hulk Hogan for a second there, talking about elbow room around the toilet, but brother, you got it in spades. Yeah, bedroom. Bedroom is, like, at first glance, you're like, okay, so it's just the same bedroom they've been doing. It is a camp queen size bed. They have left room for a true queen bed. No one has told me this down at Cherokee. I have a long-term sneaking suspicion that as they develop new models, they are intentionally leaving more room around the bed to be able to put in a true queen. Perhaps down the line, they may start doing that from the factory. But even then, remember, typically RV manufacturers, they tend to include what I call backbreaker death wafer mattresses. You're probably still going to swap that sucker out. But look at this. Over here, overlooking your campsite, gigantic picture window on this thing. That, to me, is very cool. Now, down below here, you've got household and USB outlets on both sides of the bed. The one over here looks a little bit different because that actually can be flicked on, and that white outlet can be live powered off your battery. That's a little single point inverter. So if you have like a standing fan or little things like that, you can operate that sucker. Little details like that I think are kind of neat, kind of cool. And for the most part, other than that, the bedroom doesn't look a whole lot different. What is a little bit different, though, is how they've opened up the space under the bed. You now see how they just kind of have like the leg style, and it's almost like a wide open pooch palace down there. I think that'd be really good for some tote storage. But they did a bit of a thing there. We'll get to that in a second. First of all, looking at the storage around the bed, you got your dual hanging towers. And since the overhead cabinets don't flip upwards, you don't have to worry that they don't have some kind of hold back strut or whatever. The bed, though, I'm not going to call it a Murphy bed Because it doesn't really have, like, you might have noticed how I use the mattress to kind of hold the bed deck up. So I'm not going to call it a Murphy bed, but it is potentially some kind of interesting cargo space. I don't know. I've got really mixed emotions on that. I like when manufacturers try things. I give them credit for the attempt, but I don't know that I'm necessarily in love with the execution. But I think, my personal nerdy 2 cents, if all this RV had in the bedroom was just even some kind of piano prop rod to keep that bed propped up, I think I'd feel differently about it. It feels like it's a neat idea, but maybe it isn't quite finished. But that's just my view. That being said, maybe out here in the sun, dehydrated from the heat, my nerdy little imagination is missing something. Is there an intelligent use, function, or feature there I haven't considered that would be important for you? Now, this is my first time stepping in this camper, and just going off experience, I'm pretty sure when we close this slide, we're about to lose the bedroom in road mode. And that certainly does seem to be the case with that big dinette sticking out there and the fact that the bedroom door swings open. You're just not getting past this one. Something else I forgot to mention previously that it kind of occurred to me as I was running the slide out. They have moved away from their Schwintek slide mechanism that they had used on the Grey Wolf series for many, many years. And they have since gone to a Norco Exact slide system, which is a cable slide system, but it still allows the slide to operate above the floor and not have to have a ram bar that punches through the frame. So if you're noticing, this one is what I'm going to call travel stop friendly, not necessarily travel stayover friendly, because we are snack and crap-tastic back here, but if you want to take a nap, you're gonna have to open the slide. Now, when you start seeing a 26 on the front of that model number, I think a lot of people start estimating half-ton towability. And I think you might be right, though there is one factor I think you will need to consider. 7,800 pounds fully max-loaded GVW, not too bad. And not to mention the dry weight of this thing, just north of 5,000 pounds. The weight factor is not an issue. Tip to tail, though, this 26 model number is just under 32 feet. Now, if you're going through crazy windy conditions, or if you've got some long, windy trails and some tree branches hanging down, that might be a factor you want to consider right there. I think a lot of people still read that model number, and especially newer folks, newer to the industry, who aren't familiar with a lot of the RV industry practices, they estimate that's the length, because why wouldn't you think that? Well, that's why you wouldn't think that. Now, up front here, a couple interesting things. Now, remember, we're at a display, so there's some stuff in it, basically, like these little wood blocks for leveling the tongue and jacks and all that stuff out. But that big hunk of metal, that's what I want to draw your attention to, because that is a griddle conversion for the little outside grill that we're going to see. Now, these all standard come with the LCI quick drop stabilizers. These are actually rated if you want to use like a little impact drill to put them up and down, you can do that. Common scissor jacks, you're actually not supposed to. Fun little factoid right there. Not to mention, if you look at this, you see that extra bar that drops down? That actually can lock in place, and it provides awesome stability on this thing right here. Now, you saw the underbelly. These have had enclosed holding tanks for a while, but they now have heated tanks. That is something these did not have previously. Now, does that make this magically 4 seasons? Well, no. Maybe. I don't know. They're not tested for that. I don't personally suspect this has like some kind of crazy tundra, insulation package to it. But give me a little bit more protection in my Midwestern spring and fall seasons. I'm good with that. I'm real good with that. Now, under the countertop, basically kind of like under the sink-ish, there's a chunk of space that they really couldn't use inside. So they used it outside. And they gave us this compact but highly equipped mini camp kitchen. You got a little outside water source and an ice maker. And that thing, as long as you got power and you got water, you got ice. It works really well. It's actually surprising how well those work. And of course, right below that grill, you do have yourself a propane cooker hooker. And if you consider the fact that the entry door has a window and the camp kitchen is partially covering one of the kitchen windows there, you can see the total campside window coverage on this one. And what's funny, it's not a small awning. It's not a small crappy awning at all. It's just a big open sidewall that doesn't have any slides over here, so it just kind of looks that way. And if you're going to do outside speakers, I really like how Cherokee tends to do them. They put them down around the level of your chesticles and not up where they're blowing away the neighbors overhead, you know. On the back here, they've stuck with their cargo rack. I believe that's still a 200-pound rating. That is before the spare tire is applied, and apologies, Mr. Wolf, you're feeling a little bit blue here. You're blocking my shot, brother. I got to get you out of the way. There we go. Get a look at that thing. And up top here, you will see that they are prepped and ready for one of those telescopic removable ladders, because these have had for a long, long while now a fully walkable roof. And you saw the antenna sticking up. That is for the LCI Insight Bluetooth camera, which is factory standard on these as well. So you can make sure you're not, you know, rolling over somebody or smashing into something when you're backing into your site. Now this is camping tip number 37 from your Uncle Josh over here. And remember, your uncles always give the best advice. Instead of a backup camera, if your camper doesn't have one, you can just duct tape a whole row of squeaky chickens to the back of this, because you'll hear the honk before you feel the bump. Now, like Michael Scott from The Office over here, catching on the flippity flip. Remember when you remember The Office episode? Everybody has that one story, whether you watch The Office or not. We saw some episode where someone's like, hey, remember that thing? But where he thought he was leaving, and he tried to like throw a no-look basket over the back of his head, and he kept trying to say like, catch you on the flippity flip or something like that. And it took him like 47 tries. Oh, so many good memories from that show. Anyway, moving on. You saw the whole hot, cold outside utility shower and black tank flush up here. The reason this doesn't have a full pass-through is they kind of standardized their front ends on these. And what you have instead is this is where your tankless on-demand water heater is going to be located on pretty much all the floor plans they can. That factory standardization helps in so many ways, and one of the most important ones, by doing the same thing the same way every time, they're able to keep the cost a little more in check. So thanks again for tuning in. Appreciate you tolerating my nasally, weirdly pitched voice one more time. If you're kind of curious, this is a brand new model, so we may not have them in stock yet. So when you check this link in the video description for pricing and availability, we may not yet have anything there, but we are working to get these in stock. And if you're watching this month down the line, we probably have some of these in stock. Anything we have in stock will have pricing. If we're sold out, call us. We'll get you figures. No big deal. And when you're ready, we're ready. And let me know what you think about this one. Where did they nail it? Where did they fail it? And would you like to see like a Big Brother flush floor slide version of this? Because it's almost like the floor plan in my head. Like if you take a 2600 Imagine and a 2500 Imagine and kind of bash them together somehow, this is kind of the result. I sort of like it. That's me. Let me know what you think. Take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.